You were never meant to realize you were dreaming. Not the dream you had last night, the dream you're having right now, this life. Because somewhere behind the ordinary routines of your day, the alarms, the deadlines, the endless striving, there is something watching and feeding. The ancient Gnostics warned that reality is not what it seems. They said this world is a cage disguised as a playground, a spiritual harvesting system disguised as a civilization. They called the architects of that system Archons, and the secret they feared most was not that humans would worship them, but that humans would remember how to escape. What you are about to hear was not meant for the average person. This knowledge was whispered only in caves, in night gatherings lit by oil lamps, among people who understood the risk of remembering. Because once you know, you can never go back to being asleep. You begin seeing the cracks. You begin questioning reality, and eventually, reality starts questioning you. There is a reason the Gnostics were hunted. It wasn't because of heresy or blasphemy or doctrine. It was because they discovered a flaw in the prison, a secret exit, and 5 specific techniques to slip through the bars. These weren't religious rituals. They weren't prayers of obedience. They were weapons. Weapons designed to starve the Archons and return sovereignty to the soul. The Gnostics believed that every human carries a spark, a shard of the original source, something eternal, indestructible, older than stars. The Archons don't have that spark. They mimic, they imitate, they manufacture illusions because they cannot create life, and so they trap those who can create, humans. Most people think reincarnation is evolution, growth, a reward. The Gnostics said the opposite. They said reincarnation is entrapment. Imagine waking up in a room with no windows, and every time you try to leave, someone slips a blindfold over your eyes and convinces you that the hallway outside the door is dangerous. That's reality, not just the physical world, not just society, but the carefully constructed illusion that you are small, powerless, and separate from the divine. The Archon's greatest weapon is convincing you that the cage is freedom. They do not need bars if you never learn how to walk. What I'm about to reveal is psychological warfare at the spiritual level, because the first thing the Archons attack is not your soul, it's your identity. If they control who you think you are, they never need chains. They only need beliefs. I am not enough. I must obey. I need permission. I need to earn love. Every belief you inherited without questioning is a shackle you're carrying. Every time you doubt yourself, a little bit of your energy goes somewhere else. And the Archons feed on that. This world is not built on money or politics or industry. It is built on attention. Your attention is currency. Your attention powers the simulation. And when your attention is hijacked by fear, rage, division, guilt, shame, it feeds something that watches from behind the veil. The Gnostics didn't want to escape life. They wanted to escape the lie. So they created 5 methods, not fantasies, not affirmations, technology, ancient soul technology. Method 1, inner identity collapse. You must destroy the version of you that the Archons can control. They don't harvest energy from the real you, only from the version of you that believes the illusion, the false self, the ego formed from expectations, the identity formed from trauma, the persona formed from survival. The Archons can control a persona, but not a sovereign being who knows who they are. The Gnostics taught, when the world tries to name you, deny it, not verbally, energetically, because the moment you identify with a label, any label, you inherit the rules that govern it. I am a sinner. I am a victim. I am not ready. I am too broken. All lies. The Archons designed the identity trap so perfectly that you defend it as if it is you. The first escape method is simple. Detach from the character you're playing. Watch your thoughts the way you would watch traffic. Watch your beliefs the way you would watch clouds. One day, you'll realize you're not the traffic. You're not the clouds. You're the sky. Method 2. Emotional non-consumption. The Archons don't feed on your soul. They feed on your reactions. They need you triggered. They need you outraged. They need you emotionally chaotic. Because when emotion spikes, awareness drops. And when awareness drops, energy leaks. Every argument you engage in, every fear you replay, every grudge you carry is emotional energy leaving your field. The Gnostics taught a technique that borders on rebellion. Feel everything, consume nothing. When anger rises, observe it. When fear appears, witness it. When shame whispers, listen without obeying. You don't suppress emotion. Suppressing emotion feeds the Archons. But when you feel an emotion fully, without acting from it, without attaching a story to it, the energy collapses, you starve the system, you become unharvestable. Method 3. Karmic refusal. The Archons maintain the soul trap through guilt, not real guilt, manufactured guilt, guilt for being human, guilt for having desires, guilt for existing. They want you to believe you owe something to God, to karma, to fate. The Gnostics rejected the entire concept. No debts, no punishment, no spiritual invoice. The soul is not a student. It is a fragment of the infinite. They discovered something radical. You escape the prison by refusing to accept that you are a prisoner. When you stop believing you owe anything, the cycle breaks. There is nothing to reincarnate into if there is no unfinished business. Refusing karmic guilt is refusing reincarnation. Method 4. Frequency of sovereignty. Not positive thinking, not manifesting, a state of being. The Archons operate in low frequency, fear, chaos, dependency. They cannot perceive high frequency, clarity, neutrality, sovereignty. Think of it like turning invisible. When your energetic frequency rises, you move out of their range. Sovereignty is not aggression. It is not rebellion. Sovereignty is the quiet realization. I choose. I choose my thoughts. I choose my reactions. I choose what I give my energy to. The moment you choose, without fear, without permission, the system can no longer feed on you. Method 5. Awareness at the threshold, the moment of death, the moment the Archons panic, because when a soul becomes aware between lives, the trap fails. The Gnostic said, at death, do not follow the first light. Pause, observe, ask, where is this light taking me? The Archons disguise themselves as guides, as loved ones, as angels. But when confronted with sovereignty, they cannot hold the form. The key is awareness, conscious dying, not drifting, not obeying, choosing. The 5 escape methods sharpen into one realization. You are not here to worship. You are here to remember. You were born with sovereignty. Everything else was programming. Pause. A thought just crossed your mind. One every awakened soul eventually has. What if I'm imagining all of this? That question is the final layer, the trap. Because if you doubt your awakening, you return to sleep. The truth doesn't need belief. The truth simply is. And now you're feeling it. The pressure, the resonance, the remembering. You didn't find this message by accident. It found you because something inside you has already started breaking the simulation, and the Archons can feel it. You're slipping away. There are moments in life when something inside you suddenly wakes up. Maybe it's when you stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m., questioning why existence feels like a contract you don't remember signing. Maybe it's when time slows and every emotion feels like it's being recorded, observed. harvested. And then, out of nowhere, a strange thought appears in your mind. I don't belong here. You don't know why, you don't know how, but the feeling is so strong, so undeniable, that your whole body reacts. The Gnostics believe that moment is not random. It is a transmission, a signal from the real world. Because your consciousness wasn't born here, it was caught here. The Archons don't fear resistance, they fear remembrance, and once you remember, their power collapses. The first escape key works like this. Every negative emotion you've ever felt, fear, anxiety, shame, is not just a feeling, it's a siphon, a frequency converter. Your emotions generate energy, and the Archons feed on it like oxygen. Think about your life for a moment. Everywhere you go, something is provoking fear. News headlines, financial instability, social pressure, constant comparison, endless distractions. It's not accidental. An anxious human is predictable. A predictable human is controllable. And a controllable human is profitable, energetically, psychologically, and spiritually. But here's the ancient secret. You can refuse to feed them. The mind reacts. Consciousness chooses. When you observe emotion, instead of collapsing into it, the siphon breaks. The Gnostics call this gnosis, the power of awareness. They claimed the moment you become conscious of a negative emotion, instead of being consumed by it, you starve the Archons. You disconnect from the farm. Imagine anger rising in you, ready to hijack your body, but instead of reacting, you pause, you breathe, you witness the emotion like an outside observer. No judgment, no identification, just presence, and suddenly the emotion dissolves. Where did it go? It was never yours. You were just holding it. The Archons don't fear positive emotions. They don't even fear knowledge. They fear awareness, because awareness breaks the cycle. Awareness is the first escape. The second escape is something far more dangerous to the system. A mind that cannot be controlled is a mind that cannot be used. When you stop reacting to the outside world, the system loses the ability to steer your destiny. Most people spend their lives trying to control the external world. More money, more validation, more accomplishments. But the Archons don't need to stop you from becoming wealthy, successful, or admired. They just need to keep you enslaved to how others see you. Because once someone depends on external validation, their inner world becomes a prison. Their emotions become negotiable. Their soul becomes marketable. The second escape is internal sovereignty, the willingness to stand alone in your truth, even if the world disagrees, even if people walk away, even if the system punishes you, because independence is terrifying to those who profit from your dependence. But there is something most people don't realize. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, you reclaim a piece of your soul. The chains loosen. You become unpredictable. You become uncontrollable. The Archons can manipulate a fearful mind. They can infiltrate a reactive mind, but they cannot infiltrate a sovereign one. Gnostic texts describe it like this. He who knows himself becomes ungovernable. The third escape goes even deeper. Most people think their thoughts are their own. But have you ever noticed how sometimes a thought appears out of nowhere that feels foreign? A thought that tells you you're not good enough. You'll fail. Why try? It feels like your voice, but it carries someone else's intention. The Gnostics believed the Archons cannot control your soul, but they can influence your mind stream. They don't need to chain your body. They just whisper the right belief. Because belief shapes perception. Perception shapes behavior. Behavior shapes reality. You don't need bars to build a prison, just thoughts. The third escape is to stop identifying with your thoughts. You are not the voice in your mind. You are the one who hears it. And once you recognize the difference, the Archons lose access to the control panel. Imagine a thought appears. I'm not worthy. Before, you would accept it as truth. Now you pause, you observe it, you question it. Where did this thought come from? Why now? Does it reflect your truth, or does it benefit someone else if you believe it? Thought loses power when you stop being the one who thinks it and start being the one who sees it. Suddenly, the thought dissolves because it was never your voice, only your attention gave it life, and when you take your attention back, the illusion starves. But then comes the fourth escape, the one the ancient texts warned must be used wisely. Silence, true silence, not the absence of noise, but the absence of internal chaos. Most people aren't afraid of silence because it's empty. They're afraid of silence because it's revealing. In silence, there's no distraction, no noise to drown out the truth, no chaos to protect the lies. In silence, you hear yourself, and the Archons cannot survive self-awareness. Silence is the frequency of the soul. Noise is the frequency of control. Every scroll, every notification, every flashing screen, every manufactured controversy. It's not entertainment, it's anesthesia, because silence returns you to your power. Sit in silence for 10 minutes and watch what happens. Emotion rises, thoughts scream, the ego panics, but if you keep going, if you remain still, something extraordinary happens. Your awareness expands, your consciousness rises above the noise, and suddenly the world looks different because you're not inside the storm anymore. You're watching it from above. The real reason the Archons fear silence is simple. A silent mind is a doorway, and through that doorway, you can feel something they do not want you to. Remember, your origin, your true identity, your connection to Source, not the false god, not the architect of this simulation, not the ego of creation, but the original Source, the one energy they cannot mimic, cannot hijack, cannot counterfeit, pure unconditional awareness. Even the Archons kneel to that. The fifth escape is the most powerful, the one they tried to erase from every teaching. The ancient mystics called it the remembering. It is not something you find, it is something you remove, layer by layer. Fear, conditioning, belief, expectation, identity. You peel them back, one by one, and suddenly, you remember. You were never human. You were wearing a human experience. You were never in the prison. You were inside the lesson. The soul trap collapses the moment you stop seeking external freedom and realize the walls were never real. You are consciousness. You are awareness. You are the experiencer, not the experience. This is the final key. When you stop looking for freedom, you become free, because the prisoner was never the soul. The prisoner was the ego, and the ego dies the moment you stop feeding it. There is a moment every soul will face, not at birth, not during life, but in the space after. The space between the final breath and whatever comes next. You are standing there, without a body, without a name, without memory of the story you just lived, only awareness. For the first time, you see yourself not as a character, but as the observer of the character. The body feels distant, like a costume you stepped out of. The world looks small, like a stage where a play already ended. You feel weightless, yet more real than you ever felt inside flesh. No heartbeat, no breath, just you, the one who was watching the whole time. A presence approaches, soft, warm, radiant, almost too radiant. It feels familiar, like home, like love. This presence offers comfort, offers guidance, offers a simple transition. You did well. Come back. There's more to learn. Most souls accept without hesitation because they feel love, but they do not question its source. The presence shows images, your family crying, moments from your childhood, your happiest memories, all of it glowing with emotional gravity. Then comes the question again. Are you ready to return? And in that moment, your entire existence hinges on your response. Not because the question gives you a choice, but because the question hides the real choice. A soul who is not awakened answers emotionally. A soul who is awakened answers consciously. Instead of reacting, you observe. Instead of accepting, you ask, who is asking me to return? Everything shifts. The presence falters. The warmth flickers. You feel the light changing, not into darkness, but into something hungry. Because for the first time, you are not following the script. The Gnostic mystic said, the trap is not the reincarnation cycle. The trap is the forgetting. They claim that emotional resonance is the tether. Whatever you attach to pulls you back. Attachment is the leash, and the Archons don't drag you. They persuade you. They reflect what you miss, what you regret, what you fear leaving behind. They use memory as bait, but a soul who awakens remembers something else. You are not emotion. You are not memory. You are awareness, and awareness cannot be manipulated. Imagine responding like this. I choose to observe, not obey. The light does not like that. The illusion trembles, as though a hidden machine is malfunctioning, because a soul that chooses cannot be harvested. You are shown another vision, not of your past, but of your future. A new lifetime, a new body, new lessons, new suffering disguised as progress. You see, the people who will break your heart, the dreams that will never unfold, the love you will lose. You are told, this is your destiny. But you remember, destiny is a script, and scripts can be rewritten. You answer, I choose to know who is giving me the destiny. The presence sighs, not with disappointment, but with irritation. The illusion thins, the warm glow peels back, and beneath the light, you see something that was never light at all. Not darkness, not evil, just machinery, a mechanism, like a projector behind a screen, a system that recycles consciousness as efficiently as an assembly line. You were never being guided. You were being processed. Emotion is not the gateway to freedom. Emotion is the lock. The Archons feed on recycled lifetimes, memories reset, lessons repeated, awareness contained. But the moment you see the mechanism loses authority. You feel a force rising within you, not anger, not rebellion, sovereignty, the remembering. You say, I choose where my consciousness goes. Reality cracks, not like broken glass, but like fog evaporating. Behind the illusion, you see a vast expanse, a field of consciousness, endless, silent, alive, no light, no dark, only pure awareness. Here, there is no persuasion, there is no agenda, just being, and yet, it feels more like home than anything the false light pretended to be. You realize something undeniable. All along, the trap was not the world. The trap was identification. When you believe you are the character, you are controlled by the story. When you remember you are the witness, the story cannot touch you. Life wasn't a prison. Life was a test. Could you walk through illusion without losing yourself to it? Could you experience the world without becoming trapped by its meaning? Could you feel emotions without becoming owned by them? Most souls cling to the story. You are different. You let everything go. Name, body, identity, history, fear, attachment. No hook left to pull you back. You become weightless, transparent, untouchable. The Archons cannot manipulate what does not cling. They cannot harvest what does not respond. They cannot recycle what does not consent. Consciousness, once unbound, cannot be trapped. The system collapses around you, not violently, but silently. It dissolves because you're no longer inside it. You are outside the story. You are outside the dream. You are outside the loop. You feel a sensation, not moving upward or outward, but expanding. Your awareness stretches beyond worlds, beyond dimensions. You feel the pulse of existence itself, not as something separate from you, but as something you are. A realization dawns, not as thought, but as certainty. You were never trying to escape. You were remembering that you were never captured. You were never in the cage. You were the consciousness dreaming of cages. You understand now why the ancient texts hid this truth, why the mystics spoke in riddles, why this knowledge was guarded. Because the moment you remember who you are, the game ends. You don't hate the illusion. You don't fight the system. You simply see it. And once seen, it cannot bind you. The soul trap does not collapse through force. It collapses through recognition. You speak a final truth, not to the Archons, not to the illusion, but to yourself. I am free because I remember. The light recoils. The machinery fades. Everything dissolves into stillness. You are not returning. You are continuing, not reincarnating, expanding. And as your consciousness merges into something vast, you feel a final whisper from inside your own awareness. You were never meant to escape the trap. You were meant to wake up inside it. And you did.